Round 1 of the NFL Draft is now complete with round 2 in the horizon. We got 10 players now with landing spots, and today we're going to rank them into tiers and theorize around them for your rookie drafts. Well, before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're dropping content left and right, helping you get the information and the player values you need for your rookie drafts that are popping off all throughout the weekend. We're going to rank the players. We're going to have instant reactions that you already seen throughout yesterday. More tonight, more tomorrow, more on Sunday, more rankings throughout the weekend as well, more on UDFAs, more of winners and losers and everything else. It's all right here, the most active channel out there. Click that button, stop missing out. But we're going back to our roots. We're going back to the tier maker. We used to jazz it up with edits, but I don't think you guys really like that too much. And now, this morning, I was thinking, what's the best way to relay this information? And I was like, what would Sam Sulek do? He'd go back to the roots. He'd keep it honest. He'd keep it real. And he'd go to the tier maker and just talk and be fluid, talk philosophy of Dynasty Fantasy Football. That's what we're doing right now. As you see here, we got the tiers. It's the tier maker website, SABCD. Very primitive, very real here, like what we used to do. But we're going to rank these guys. And I'm going to be very fluid, moving these guys around for 2QB, Superflex 1QB, and using multiple different fantasy theories to help adapt to how you think as well. First off, we got the S tier. S tier, we know what's going to be in there, and that's Ashton, Jeanty. He's the stud of the class. He's got stud value. He's a stud prospect. The Raiders said that. The number 6 player off the board. And Ashton, Jeanty's got a lot of upside in this offense. He's going to be featured. This offensive line, solid. Solid player. He's the 101. He's been the 101. However, when you talk about Superflex, Dynasty Fantasy Football theory, that doesn't mean I agree with it or if I'm going to turn that way in my drafts, but I will show you it. A lot of people will have Cam Ward right up there with him. And some people will actually have it like this. Cam Ward ahead. And it really depends on your league. It really depends on how your league's valued at the quarterback position in Superflex. And you do you. The theory against Ashton, Jeanty versus Cam Ward, quarterback position, 101, draft capital. And if he hits, he's going to be in the league longer. And even if he's an okay quarterback, he's going to give you similar results scoring-wise. Ashton, Jeanty, though, fills that running back role, top-tier draft positioning. If I do not have those beliefs or those values or my league is structured differently, then put Cam Ward here. That's what I would do. If my league is heavy on the quarterback position, this is where you're at. And if you want my personal preference, it would be like this. I'd be Jeanty, then Ward. And I'm not sleeping on Ward. I think he's a good prospect. I'm higher on him than most people. I think he's got a good mental processor. And I might be too in love because I really loved him in the transfer portal last year. And I just like how he sprays the football around, how he plays off script. I think that's a good fit for what the Titans need. Also feel like if you're looking for a quarterback in the future and you're not willing to pay up for Ward right now, you might be able to obtain him in season. Because look at that depth chart. Look how rocky that's going to be. He is definitely better than Will Levis. Definitely. Now the next player we're looking at, and I'm just going to hold it here, and I'll move Cam Ward around as we talk. Omarion Hampton. He is solid in Tier A. Solid in Tier A. But like I said, we're talking about fantasy football theory. Dynasty fantasy football theory here. Very productive running back. A running back here that did well at the combine. Thick, physical runner with Harbaugh, who wants a thick, physical runner who wants to pound the ball up the gut. You got him and Najee Harris. The thing about this, you also got the Chargers privilege here for Dynasty Fantasy Football value and score. The thing about this too is if you're here for the long term and if you like Hampton a lot, maybe it looks like this for you and he's not too far off with Jeanty. Over time, that could be the case. However, I'll stress this out, that right now, value-wise, Jeanty's so far up there in the trade streets that the asset is enough for you to go him now. However, if you want to shoot your shot on your man, and Hampton's your man, and some of you guys it is, it's okay. It's okay. For me, my preference is probably like this. Probably like this, and maybe him fluid with Cam Ward down here. Or just here. I think it's actually, I'm saying the same thing when I do that. Honestly. But, if I'm shooting the shot at the running back, he's in the A spot. I think I'm going to keep it like this for now. The next player I want to look at here is our boy T-Mac. I'm going to put him right here for now just to talk about him. We're going to the Carolina Panthers. 8th pick overall. 8th pick overall. We're in the top 10 range. Where does he excel at? Getting downfield, contested catches, getting air yards. What do we look at week to week playing DFS, setting lineups for redraft, looking at waiver wire, and then in Dynasty as well for the long term? Air yards for sure, and then we also have the draft capital to command target share. We look at this depth chart, easily better than Xavier Legette. Adam Thielen's got another year left in him. He's not got much more in the tank. And Jalen Coker, UDFA. No sunk cost there. When I look at Bryce Young, he likes to push it downfield. This is probably the perfect complement to him. He's a Tier A wide receiver. He's a Tier A wide receiver right now. And if you're in need of a wide receiver, if you're desperate, he will be in mix with these Tier A running backs. The Tier A running backs here will probably be the same Tier A running backs that we had prior. More than likely, unless one falls to day 3. But Judkins, Johnson, Hendo, and maybe another guy could emerge here. However, T-Mac's in that Tier A. But you may be saying, though, what about the other wide receivers? Let's just throw them up there. Travis Hunter. What I like about Travis Hunter is I think he's a legit talent. I think he landed in this perfect spot. Jaguars trade up. They did the research. I bet you he runs a lot of routes. If I had to guess his route participation rate, which is what you're probably guessing for him, 70 to 80%, if not a little higher. And I think as we get further into his career, we're going to lean more on the offensive side of the ball. I think we're going to lean more there unless they start hitting at wide receiver later in the draft where they can be more flexible. I think about 70 to 80% route participation rate with Brian Thomas Jr. being the guy. With Brian Thomas Jr. being the guy, I think he can still deliver wide receiver 1 results with him being more average to a top end wide receiver 2. I think we got potential for that, and I think we're going to be in the league for a long time. Honestly, top end to Tier B, if you really love him, you can throw him in your Tier A. I'm bullish on that. We also got Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is a huge riser. Now you're kind of confused, like he's all over the place. But remember, I'm talking in theory, and I want you to process your internal when looking at these. You should never tail an analyst. You tail, you fail. Top bettors in Vegas are right around 62% of the time. So if I'm sitting here preaching as if I'm going to be always right, then honestly, I'm teaching a fail to process. And if I'm teaching a fail to process, then I'm a liar. You should be learning process from me, critical thinking skills when it comes to fantasy football, the metrics used, and everything else for you to deliver your results. That being said, the other wide receivers, Matty Gold. So I got nicknames here to make them fit. If you're a Karen and you got to have the right name, his name is Matthew Golden, of course. Matty Gold, though, I kind of like that better. When we think redraft here for the Packers, when we think daily fantasy football for the Packers, what's one thing do we say about their wide receiver core here? Week in, week out. What do we think about this? Honestly, this is a team that has the carousel effect. The carousel effect is something that when you look at this wide receiver depth chart, you look at the quarterback here with Love, they spray it around. And every week, there's a wide receiver that hits for them almost every week. But you can't really pinpoint it. Usually a guy that's getting the most targets week to week. However, though wide receiver 2, 3, 2A, 1A, whatever, 1B, can emerge. And it's like an effect. And then it's like a domino effect or a trickle-down effect. The next wide receiver will give you all right results. And the wide receiver 3 might give you all right results or nothing at all. And we see this week in and week out. I think to start off his career, we're going to easily be involved with that carousel effect. And we've been talking about the Packers, and the Packers created it. Like 2 years ago, I created that scientific term of the Packers offense, and it correlates to other offenses as we start merging, learning the system here. I think we got the upside here with that 4.2 speed to become more. And I think we have the position here to be the deep threat and to be a big-time wide receiver. I think this is the ultimate fit for him. I don't think Dallas would have been the correct fit for him in fantasy football. I know a lot of people wanted that to happen. I don't think that would have been the correct fit, and I don't think he's a wide receiver that could fit for every team. I think he's a wide receiver that's a good fit for the Packers, and I think he's a good wide receiver that fits well into a carousel effect. I think he's going to have some upside, and he could be a player that merges if he pushes those air yards. That is what I'm looking at him, and when I think about him, and I correlate him with the running backs here, once I feel ick at the running back position, which is going to etch itself out tonight, once I start feeling ick, that's when I'm going to look his way. Travis Hunter is a different type of talent. 5-star prospect, gas tank for days, create separation. They traded up to get him. You can put him here and mix him with the running backs that you're questionable with if you're in. If you're not in, you're here. Just talking theory. Just talking theory. And that's probably going to help you the most in having concrete rankings. Emeka Egbuka. The thing about Emeka Egbuka is we're going to a depth chart with competition. A lot of competition to it. But we got a quarterback that'll push it. He's a very nuanced technical route runner. Like Travis Hunter, we're a former 5-star recruit. We have years of production to his name. He's a thick wide receiver. You can put him all over the place. And we have older wide receivers on the depth chart. Last night when I did his instant reaction, I brought up the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver depth chart. That older wide receiver is there. And a lot of people, when they were looking at that depth chart in the initial drafting of JSN, they did not want anything to do with him. They're questioning that. He dropped in the rankings. It took some time for him to develop into that offense. We also had injuries involved in other contexts. However, we can definitely relate that to this issue. Mike Evans, Godwin, McMillan. That being said, if you're not into it right now, you can probably buy in cheaper or at this price later. He could probably be liquid. So he's going to give you the flexibility to be on your radar, go after these running backs, or go after these other wide receivers, or whatever else is in line here. And then you get him in September, October, November. You get him then. When the Dynasty market says, nah. When the Dynasty market says that, you just think about that. There's a chance for that. You can make the case here. However, we got the carousel effect with Green Bay, and that could allow Matty Gold to emerge. And I know this doing week-to-week DFS Dynasty redraft analysis in season. I know this, and I know how the Packers wide receiver depth chart kind of goes, kind of flows. But another big question, I'm just going to put them up there. Colston, Loveland, Tyler Warren. The Bears tricked you up. The Bears tricked you up last night. Everybody thought it was Tyler Warren, and they went Colston, Loveland. The thing going into this, Dan Jeremiah said it, like these guys are going to reach for their guys. I said this, and I made a video, but I also talked in process like I was doing now. And there was a huge red flag with Tyler Warren coming in. There's a huge one. Because if it wasn't for almost all of the Penn State wide receivers transferring out the year prior, and them having no continuity in that offense outside the 2 running backs and Tyler Warren, would we even be talking about Tyler Warren right now as a first-round pick because of the opportunity? Like a 5% target share would probably be down. Say you had a good year. Say you did with those wide receivers still there. Probably been around, 20, 25%? A good year still. Would we be talking about him in the same light? We know he's not twitched up. We know we're not a prime athletic prospect. We know that. We see the tape. He didn't test. Loveland here. When I talked about him, I was like, I think he should be viewed in a similar light. And a lot of people, or some people, have him over Warren as a talent. Loveland is a good receiving threat. The thing about Loveland here is now we got Caleb Williams. Now we got a jazzed up offensive line. We're going to be getting targets. I got him ahead of Tyler Warren, and I think it's pretty easy. And I think the Bears made the right choice. I think that's the right fit for them. He's better than Cole Kmet, big time. Big time. He's going to eat Cole Kmet's lunch. Tyler Warren's on the Colts. The Colts are very ambiguous. Colts are very ambiguous at quarterback. And we got a lot at wide receiver that could really impact him. Josh Downs is going to command a 20+% target share. We have 2 wide receivers that can stretch it downfield with A.D. Mitchell and Alec Pierce. And then we got Pittman. We actually have a good wide receiver depth right here that just needs a quarterback. That just needs a point guard. That just needs a point guard, honestly. And we got Jonathan Taylor. We actually have that. They just need a point guard. They just need a point guard. Once they get their point guard, this offense is going to facilitate pretty good. It's under the radar without a point guard. But we got some talent there. I think Tyler Warren's going to struggle for target share. I think he'll be up and down. I think he's a good talent. I think where he could bite us in the butt here and be overly productive is if Danny Dimes or Richardson just starts funneling it to him. That could potentially happen. I think in this offense, if he's playing on the high without a point guard, it's going to be volatile. And because target share is just going to be spread around. With Tyler Warren, though, I think you can buy him later. I think he's kind of like in that Egbuka class, but back since he's a tight end, where if you like him, you just buy him later. You wait till middle of the season. You wait till things are a little slower, until he gets casted down here a little bit. You buy him later. Colston Loveland is in a prime situation. He's in a prime situation with Caleb Williams. I like Caleb Williams. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback. But there's one player left, and maybe I missed one. Maybe my ADHD kicked in. Jaxson Dart. Giants trade back in the first round. They said, not today, sure. They drafted Jaxson Dart. The caveat to this, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors. And Jaxson Dart is going to funnel that to him if he gets the opportunity. On top of that, the starting quarterbacks there, Russ Wilson, Jameis Winston. Those are 2 good starting quarterbacks to have in front of you. You know they're there for not a long time, but for a good time. And Jameis Winston is a good tutor. He's a good mentor. We all know this. I mean, if you didn't know this, just go look at how he talked with Cleveland. He was trying to be a mentor to Watson. He was trying his best. This is a guy that is very in tune with himself. I think he's going to help Dart a bit. Dart's going to have a time to sit, watch, learn, has upside. And when he gets his opportunity, he's got Malik Neighbors. And he can just funnel it to him. Tier A is going to be hard to do. But in Superflex drafts, where the quarterback position's established and the value is like pulling teeth, and you will know when you're in those leagues, then you have to put him there, and he's 1 for 1 with this tier of running backs here. The Judkins, the Hendos, those running backs that's really everyone's salivating for. If not, and if your Superflex league's not like that, then you got him back here, and you're playing money ball with these wide receivers with what you like. And I'm talking Superflex. If we're going to talk 1QB, we're probably talking like somewhere like right here, somewhere this, honestly, and maybe even lower. Like, I don't chase these onesie positions. We're talking 1QB. We're talking Superflex, Cam Ward's here, depending on how you value and your philosophy at the quarterback spot. There's multiple ways to play Superflex, and leagues are different. So if I just said this and this was it, I'd be wrong, because there's multiple different leagues out there. If I said this, I'd be wrong. If I said this, I'd be wrong. But if I talked in fluidity, I'm helping everybody. And you just go in with what's inside you, how you play the game, and how you feel it. Right now, those are the rankings going in. Philosophical, the Velociraptor, whatever you want to call it. But I got you set up for your rookie drafts. Let me know how you're playing it out, how you're valuing these players. It's honestly going to help anybody else viewing the channel, because it's not about me telling you what to do. It's me trying to help you, and you trying to help them, you trying to help me, and I'm trying to help you, because we're building a community here of outside-the-box thinkers, because you guys are just as good as me, if not better, and I trust you guys too. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.